Hello and welcome to Let's Drone Out. Tonight, you are joined by everyone's favourite CurryKitten.
Hello.
The man who made the thumbnail, Stephen.
Hello. A man who got the thumbnail wrong, I suspect. But if it's smeary and poor quality, you can thank me. Excellent.
And the man who apparently can't measure things.
Not even with calipers. Oh.
That's a dig at Curry.
I said I believed you, and yet you're like, oh no, I send photographic evidence.
I'm joking.
Usually get in trouble for that these days, Curry.
I should explain what we were talking about. I asked Jack if I sent him my old Beta FPV Meteor 75, and he said, no, you sent me the 65. I was like, oh, where's the old 75 gone? Because I've got the new 75, and I wanted to compare the two, because the new one's got like just a single board for everything, and I think the old one had an external VTX, and I couldn't find it to check it. So I thought, if I send that to Jack, and then he started sending me pictures of him,
yeah, I did
holding
notice
calipers up to prove it.
They released the old one, I think, about 2 weeks before they released this Super AIO board with everything on it. So I was actually hovering over, thinking, oh, I might get a new Whoop because they're a bit of a faff to repair and they don't last forever. And then I noticed that the AIO had just had I think they did it with a separate receiver or something. They had like a board with the VTX and the motors, but maybe the receiver was separate or something like that. And
I think it might have been, it might have been an SPI receiver, and they've upgraded it to like have a proper receiver that's still built into the board. And they definitely had a separate VTX, I think, because it was like it went up to 350 milliwatts, and now the inbuilt one goes to 400.
It's so nice to have those proper UART receivers on the tiny all-in-one board. So you get like the Wi-Fi upgrade and everything. It's so nice.
Yeah.
You do give me a red 75 frame that I used to build Koel's one.
Yes, I've possibly given it to someone else, or it's lost in the cupboard. Trouble is with Beta FPV, I've got like a whole. If you look back here, those are Beta FPV boxes stacked up. Like there's 6 of them there, and I was like, where is it? It's not this one. It's not this one. It's not this one. It's gone.
So filing system.
It just means I won't be able to hold one up and say, here's the old one, here's the new one. What's the difference? I'll have to try and remember.
Outrage. Memory at our age can't be done.
It's gone. Not there anymore.
Oh, he went to pop them.
Ooh.
I saw the pictures.
Yeah, I know. Frank photobombed me. I look terrible in that photo.
So did Frank, to be fair.
Oh.
Well, yeah, typically photobombing anyone wearing goggles, they're not exactly at their best. They're usually staring at their own crotch.
Yeah, it's like hunched
with a weird
over.
expression on their face.
There's a like fold in the thing. Yeah, everyone's like gathered around me. It's an awful photo, and he's released it out to the wild. I'm like, damn you, Koel. Damn you, Frank.
What's your media consultant at the time?
Yeah, so I've got a bit of a temperature. I'm not very well.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yes.
How was
I know. Me and my wife are in the BMFA magazine. If anyone happens to have a spare copy of that, please keep it for me. Because I did not get the copy of my flight bit in the from the mini air show, where I was FPV rounding that plane. Frank included my thing as an article and that as well. But yeah, it's nice to see.
So what was Popham like then? What was going on?
I mean, to be fair, I got moaned at for showing up so late. They were like, "You should have come Saturday," and that's kind of my only real experience. But all the guys were lovely. Jagger FPV was kind enough. I brought my Whoop. I bought my Boxer. And I bought my goggles, and I did not bring a goggle battery. I bought a charger for the Whoop. of course, didn't bring my power supply to
Cool.
charge the Whoop either, and I didn't bring my field pack either. So that was clever. So I just had to borrow things off people. But they were lovely. They were lovely enough, very accommodating. And I didn't partake in any of the Whoop racing. We waited till they kind of shut up early because they'd finished all their rounds. And we descended, 3 of us, Jagger and Matt, from the drone racing. We descended upon the drift cars and we were just chasing them around, and it was an absolute hoot.
What kind of scale drift cars are we talking about?
I don't know.
Big
Don't
ones,
know.
little ones?
Big.
Yeah. Because some of those drift cars these days, they're really tiny. And I thought even in a Whoop, it might be challenging to spot and keep up with them.
But I think because I've been around people, I've now got a bit of lurgy, so I'm not feeling that great.
Rough.
Yeah.
It's people for you.
Germ bags.
Bastards. Curry, I saw your van review. That's a mighty impressive van you have.
Oh, well, thank you very much, young man.
It's got a whole lot of bits and pieces.
It's got bits and bobs.
All the van accoutrement.
I didn't make a review to say, hey, look at my van. It was purely on the basis that other people like me might find it useful. But what I've had mostly is as if I was trying to sell it to people, and lots of people complaining about the price of it, which is very expensive. I certainly.
But you said the base price for a Transit's north of 60k with all the bits and pieces.
Yeah, once you get things like the automatic transmission and some of the comfort packs, it's that's expensive. Yeah, an old Transit. That's what your other option is: buying old Transit, cut holes in it, and do it yourself. Which I was quite interested in doing, and then my wife reminded me that I am the worst DIYer in the world, and I usually just get frustrated and hit things when it goes wrong. Also,
and unlike
we didn't have somewhere to put it.
Transits are generally driven by people that don't own them and are perhaps not the gentlest of drivers.
Yes, there's not many considerably carefully driven Transits. They're normally belong to delivery drivers that sling parcels at your door. And
Transit drivers' view on speed bumps is normally a mild irritation that might spill their drink, but not necessarily something worth slowing down for the sake of the vehicle.
Yeah. Oh, this is a very cool track, isn't it?
That's awesome. Yeah. Those are pretty big drift cars. They look like
what's it made out of? Is it
30, 40 centimeters?
It's like plywood and plastic, and it was all set up. Hang on, let me find a good run. Hang on. As I'm that one, if you noticed, I crashed in and got caught in my own hair. But oh my god, the trouble is the DVR of some of the Fat Shark DVR. Jesus, it's got a lot to answer for.
Oh, Fat Shark's the worst. Back to sub 30
What the
frames
hell is this about? But yeah.
Oof. That's some psychedelia going on there, mate.
I know.
Wow.
It
could be in like an early 90s rock video.
DVR's been on ease.
It is terrible, isn't it? So we're looking at drift cars, and it's just basically black and white, and then it just pulses green.
That's the thing. It seems like it's very clever that they fit everything in a very small frame like that, but the VTXs seem to not handle any sort of other RF traffic very well. It's like, oh my god, there's another signal here. I'm just going to go black and white and green and all sorts. Even on the very impressive F5. Oh, Jack, you've gone quiet. I can see your lips moving.
Sorry, I muted myself. I forgot to unmute myself after. Oh my god, all my DVR is garbage.
Don't feel bad. You were there. You enjoyed it. It's not all about getting the videos.
It's fair to say you're never going to get like, oh my god, I got some amazing footage on my analog tiny whoop. I must publish it and cut it with.
That's why you need to get Curry's DJI 4K tiny whoop.
Yeah, although that is bloody heavy for a tiny whoop. Your throttle management will be like this. Your thumb will be worn out trying to balance the throttle.
And you'll be changing batteries every 90 seconds.
That's true. Yeah. I know like a tiny whoop is officially 65mm, but I have to say I feel the 75 is the right sort of size. It just lasts a little bit longer. It's got a bit more power. You don't have to
unless you're like an elite racer who's hitting tiny gaps. I think 75 makes a lot of sense.
I mean, there's definitely a difference on like a really light 65mm whoop. Those fly well, but let's face it, those little motors are sort of going so fast. You still don't get much of a.
You still got the same weight, like receiver, camera, AIO. You might get slightly lighter motors, but pretty much all the guts of it are the same between the 65 and the 75. So you just benefit a lot from the prop size increasing.
Yeah. You shoved it off the track then, didn't you?
No, these guys weigh loads. I think they're like 1/20th scale or something.
Track,
yeah.
Each one of those
by landing on the roof and going for a ride.
Like a 2 amp hour 2S inside it. That's going to be enough to knock that whoop all over the place.
But they were rude. They were like landing, like the other two guys were so much better than me. They were like landing on top of cars and that.
That's sweet. Yeah, I think Jaggers is one of the founders of the Whoop Racing Club, so he's probably got some practice, right?
Yeah, and he's HD as well.
What is it? HD 0, is it?
Yeah, I think he's HD 0.
That's the way for whoops, isn't it? You can keep the weight down and still get decent video quality.
Yeah,
unlike the DJI ones that are definitely a bit of a whale. Because they've got that AIO board out, haven't they? It's been out for a few months, and surprisingly, no one's kind of complained about like any product quality things, which is almost unheard of for AIOs. Like they've been out there, and from what I can see, people are just getting on and using them, which is great to see. But the trouble is, the more crap you put into one board, when it breaks, the cost is high.
I think so, but I think we're sort of lots of iterations into these, what you can fit on a single board now. So it's like it's starting to get there. What I liked about when I looked at the latest this Beta FPV Meteor 75 is if I had to replace anything, obviously if the board went or some component on the board, you replace the board, but it is completely solderless. It's just like you put the board in, you plug the motors in, you plug the camera in, and you're off. So if you need to change frame or something, very easy.
It is nice. And if you're an advanced user and you want to save 0.5 grams, you can take the plugs off and spend 3 hours trying to solder tiny wires.
If you hate your life and you want to make it more difficult, do that.
I want to cry under your soldering iron for a while. But yeah, there's definitely a few obsessives who've done that. I think if you are into the racing scene, it's like that every gram counts attitude, right? Where you just push it and try and lose all those little tiny slivers of weight.
I think so. And Martian that's in the chat there likes to wind his own motors because that looks like
sick
fun.
Man.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Nothing.
You've got a problem if you're winding your own motors. You need to see some sort of specialist and just fess up to it. I've been sent at home. I've taken to winding my own motors. I've got 15 different grades of wire and a whole load of specialist tools.
I think life might be a little bit too short for winding motors.
If you get a knack for it, I've heard it's really good. But it's like with hot air soldering. Like I'm sure there is a way to get a knack for it, but I think my hands are just like giant, clumsy hams, and there's no way I'm able to do that.
My DVR does work.
Oh, it does work.
Once.
And then it tripped out and went spicy on you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how I remember you flying, Jack. You like take off.
Yeah, this is not a fully charged battery. I just kind of wanted to
That's what
see
Jack
whether
gave
my
me.
Whoop would work. So this is like a storage battery.
Yeah.
3.3 is your takeoff voltage. That's the way it works.
I remember Jack gave me one with like some little Puffzilla death battery and was like, "Here, fly it around the pub." Just flew it straight to the back of someone's head. I mean, I'm not a great pilot to start with. I was a little bit nervous as well, but yeah, the battery was a surprise I hadn't reckoned. Well, I'm glad you got to pop them. It looks like there's a fair amount of people there. And was there any struggles this time? I'm guessing if there wasn't a full size FPV racing line, the Whoop guys had most of the day up and flying, right?
Yeah, they were all good, man.
That's cool.
They were, yeah, it was fine. As far as I know, there was no problem. We went out to the field, saw some helicopters.
Oh.
We were picking up water and dumping it on somewhere with helicopters, and we saw a bit of smoke from a plane, like a little pyro kit, and that was about it, really. And we just kind of caught up. Me, Frank, Menace. So
sweet. How's Menace doing?
Yeah, all right. As far as I can tell, yeah, it's just nice. It's some exciting new stuff's coming out. Stuff that me and Frank have obviously been nagging him for ages.
Which part of the quest for antenna perfection have you been nagging him about?
It's not. It's more. It's more the burninating.
Something to do with smoke.
Pyro triggers.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's kind of what we're looking forward to. I don't know, Frank's. Obviously, if you're following Frank on Instagram, you'll see a lot more stuff. But yeah, he's old Frankleton's been playing with. He's got the new board and has been tying little smoke grenades to his cub, which is interesting.
Yeah, apologies, I don't do Instagram, so I miss all this.
Yeah. Sorry, I can smell a weird chemical smell. It's freaking me out.
On your desk?
Don't know whether I'm having some sort of stroke or something.
I think that's the toast more than weird smells.
Mm.
Would you like to see the interesting results of my flying? Bearing in mind, I've already shown you guys.
Do it.
What we can call my squeaky bum time. Which
but you had GPS enabled, so the FPV was purely a luxury on top of that, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's still a bit like, oh, I don't like this, because you're not sure at this point if it's already like crashed or it's happened. So what was happening? I was flying the wing that I showed last week with me throwing it into the ground. I threw it into the ground once, and then I decided that the center of gravity wasn't right, moved the battery back a bit, and then it launched. And I was trying to fly it,
right,
and I was out just about to 2K, and I'm thinking to myself, well, this is a rubbish picture. No, you've got the interference lines,
too much water on the ground.
You've got speckly stuff. So I turn around to come back, lose picture here, and it is a good 30 seconds. Now, obviously, I had returned home.
And I nav on there, and off you go, right?
But when you switch it on, and then you okay, come back then. At this point, you're like, did it just dive into the ground and die? Or is it actually coming home? And it feels like a very, very long time in the field, because you're like, well, I was just flying out that way. And
what is your antenna placement that it's amazing in one direction, an absolute turd 180 degrees?
It's on the front. So it should have been worse going away. And then when I turned around to come back, it should have been okay. So it's a bit of a mystery, that one.
Yeah, that's funny. Who knows? Maybe someone flipped their microwave on.
It seems to be there's certain dodgy areas around there. I was flying there with a friend one day, and we were both sort of flying out about 1.5 kilometers, sort of following each other, and we both lost complete picture and lost the RC signal just like that. Like something had just turned on, and it's like a good 40 seconds later before the planes came back, which was a bit weird.
It reminds me of the old flight test days where they would randomly fail-safe and they could never work it out, and it turned out that there was some sort of weird beaconing update thing where it wouldn't transmit all the time, but then at random points in the day to send some sort of telemetry update or status report, this little transmitter would power up on 75 or whatever the old,
and just blast a couple of watts for 5 minutes.
Yeah, and it would just blast for about a minute or two and then turn off.
Did you lose RC link as well, Curry, or was it just the video?
No, it said lost telemetry. I couldn't tell if I lost the RC link or not.
Wow.
Because
telemetry these days is fairly bulletproof. So
yeah, that thing would just like chuck onto a 1 watt power if it needs to, whilst we're flying around. I mean, it's a bit of a weird
telemetry back for a while either. That was the scary part.
Yeah. Well, no, it said telemetry recovered, and it's like
with no video,
zero video.
As long as you've got telemetry, you can at least look at GPS updates on your radio and be like, "Well, I guess it's still moving."
Set that up. It's fucking.
Oh, they never got that back. That's
really like, you never set telemetry GPS as a like telemetry view on your radio. I used to have that. Even
no,
deviation.
I do have that on most of. I've tried setting my radio up like properly now, so I've got just profiles for GPS quad, regular quad on both like 868 and 24. This plane, because it's iNav, I couldn't remember what to do, and because I'm using my whatever the radio is with the little buttons at the bottom, because it runs out of switches, I've put loads of voice things on about like what these buttons do. You know, the 5 buttons on the front, can't remember what they are. So it was set up quite well now, but yeah, there's loads of things in iNav that didn't work for me. Like trying to use auto launch didn't work, so I just turned that off and just chucked it myself. But yeah,
stuff I haven't got around to updating. Just sitting here, I think I'm still on iNav 2, and they're like fucking 17 or something by now. Sorry, Ed.
Same here.
It's at least 8 or something, isn't it?
Yeah. One of these projects that went like 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Yeah, by the way, major releases were the new way forward.
Yeah.
You can put markers for the editor to know where you swear. I think it's V or B or one of those.
F.
It should be F, shouldn't it?
That would work better.
It is B.
Okay. It is B. All right then. See, now I just feel like randomly pressing B lots of times. I don't know why.
Oh, did we tell people that I got a display like yours? It's currently broadcasting cat memes downstairs, but one of those pixel
you've got
displays.
Yours downstairs?
Yeah, it's down in the kitchen. I should probably pop it up here, but I think it'd need to be bolted to the wall because the camera angle's a bit weird. But yeah, it's working a treat.
They're fun, aren't they?
Yeah.
This is what I was messing with today. It's causing me problems. It is basically an ESP32.
Ooh.
And lots of bits on it with
that's cool.
8-inch display. And I've got this horrendous little piezo speaker on it because I was testing if I could stream an MP3.
Is it e-ink or proper screen?
No, that's a regular screen, that one.
Because I had an e-ink one, and it did like a weather clock, a quite detailed, cool-looking weather clock for like 2 years. And then inexplicably just stopped updating one day, and I don't know why.
But the good thing is that last forecast is there forever.
Yeah, right.
It's
like, oh, the battery is 80%. I don't think your battery is 80%, mate. I think you're dead. somewhere around it. Anyway,
always
yeah,
wanted
they're quite fun.
One of those augmented, like, mirror, sci-fi mirror ones with, like, the weather on it and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I kind of wanted that on one of the inside of a cupboard doors in my bedroom, so I could, like, get your clothes out and there'd be, like, a mirror there that would give you status updates and stuff. It was fairly straightforward to do, because you basically just got a crap old TV and slapped it on the back of a mirror, and that was it, right? But much easier than a crap old TV is a nice thin panel like you've got there.
Yeah, they're quite fun. Although it's quite ridiculously involved to, like, this is like a review thing, another tech review, and it's like, okay, well, it's going to take me several weeks just to program something interesting on it. But
you mean beta testing? They're going to be like, oh, thank you for your review, we really appreciate it, have this 50 quid display, thank you for spending 10 hours programming the example that's going to sell our project to everyone.
They certainly didn't organize their example code very well. They spent like hours and hours like looking at, what do you mean you've got this? And then it's like, I do not have the driver for this thing, and I could not, it literally 2 hours to get the hello world example working, because the driver that talked to the USB port meant it just would not appear as a thing, and I could not find out why for ages, which was not much fun.
Pain. Yeah, I do wonder how that they often say all these things, they're good for children age 5 to 7. There's no way that a child age 5 to 7 is going to install a serial port driver on their computer. Maybe they'll be able to deal with the simplistic drag and drop programming interface like Scratch or something once that it is actually connected. But the fact you have to go through this rigmarole before you can actually connect to the thing.
It's like a Jack torture device. You send it to him, you say, Jack, install this via the command line.
Preferably use the word just. Jack, can you just upgrade this to make it seem simple? And then he'll be like, oh, that sounds simple, I'll do that. As indeed anyone would. And 3 days later, no sleep, full of caffeine. Yeah.
Twitching.
Twitching.
Are you ready for my other bit of flying?
Do it.
I've become an expert helicopter pilot.
Oh, yeah.
Do you see, this helicopter is inverted and I'm flying it in a circle.
Wowee.
No.
It's important which direction you're flying it. You're maintaining height quite nicely, I'll give you that.
So it's all a con. I've got sent a little helicopter, which is on the, I would call it beginner/toy zone. So it's like,
it does 3D.
It kind of does 3D, but cheats. So it's kind of hard to activate, because it's like, press this button and do this, and it should roll over. And it's like, press it lots of times. It eventually rolls over, and then it sorts it out so your directions of flight are the same as if you're the right way around, which is fun. So then you can fly around this thing and it's all stabilized, and you like, look at me, I'm flying upside down. Except it's a little bit funny about, well, at first I couldn't quite work out what it needed to actually turn back over. So I had this thing upside down for about 5 minutes, saying, press the button, do the thing, and it's just blowing around being upside down, trying to fall into a bush and stuff. Turns out you have to have it like 3 meters or so high, because it's got a barometer in it, and it's like,
got to
now
be
it's
at least one crash high.
Yeah, that was fun.
Couple of mistakes.
Yeah, that's one.
So Curry's going to be doing demos now. He's going to get his B cert.
As I say to many times about the BFMA, it's like I wouldn't join any club that would actually have me as a member. Because for all clubs, really, not just the BMFA.
Yeah, I'm firmly opted out of that now. I've got my cert, and then I've got a few copies of a paper magazine I don't remember subscribing to, and yeah, I'm out.
Maybe it's one of them their member benefits.
How did you get certified? How did you find that?
I asked people. I talked to the head office, and they were pretty much no help. And then Frank was able to like find a club and point me to them, and that was what did it really. Because the head office was like, oh, just talk to your local club, and I'm like, I don't have a local club. oh, well, join a club. I'm like, but I don't. I just want to do the cert. And they're like, oh, well, don't know. Oh. Wonderful. Thanks, guys.
What level of certification are you? Are you A, B, or C?
The FPV racing one. I think there's only one.
Oh. What, do you race?
No, but I did the FPV racing cert because it was the only FPV cert available.
Does this mean you didn't actually have to do any line of sight flying? Because all their normal quad stuff and things is like line of sight, isn't it?
I think I could have, but I didn't have to. And the line of sight stuff's just horizon mode anyway. So, like, come on. Like, if you can't hover a quad in horizon mode and go backwards and forwards and then land again.
That's what I did not understand.
When I read it, I thought you couldn't use any stabilization to do it. I thought it had to be essentially...
It lets you use a DJI. Like, you can get a Mavic and do that test.
Okay. That sounds different.
Exactly. Now we can reconsider the whole qualification criteria because they don't draw any differentiation between like a 5-inch racing drone and a Mavic. As far as they're concerned, they're both drones and you can do the test on either. So
you can do your FPV racing cert on your Mavic if you want to.
Yeah. Well, if you can FPV it, yeah. But the FPV racing cert isn't the drone flying cert. The main drone flying cert, the one that you're talking about where you do line of sight, is the one where they don't really have an audience in mind. It's like for flying a Mavic and you fly a figure of 8 pattern, can you do like nose in, nose out stuff like you would if you're on a heli and that type of thing.
It's not exactly difficult when your quad will just sit there if you get slightly confused about which way you're
go
pushing.
Make a cuppa if you're feeling a little bit nervous in the middle. Just leave it hovering, come back.
Dear idea.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was nice to see that the association catered for drones to some extent, but yeah, kind of after I got the cert, I didn't really understand where to go from there, so I just dropped the membership.
If you were a joiner, was the idea that would then let you fly at a club, but presumably you'd need to have a spotter stood
at a club that did racing, although I kind of suspect that most drone racing clubs wouldn't object to someone turning up and thrashing the pants off everyone if they didn't have a cert from BMFA. So yeah, so it's a curious one. I think there's still a bit of a split between the BMFA and like drone racing at large, as far as I can make out. Maybe I'm wrong. Please come on and correct us and tell us more about how the BMFA is doing racing. It would be interesting. But yeah, it wasn't really for
me. It's like, you know, most of us don't necessarily want to race. We just want to fly around and you know, do flippy floppy stuff around a tree or something like that. But
I did visit a couple of clubs, but they're all out in the middle of big empty fields, and I didn't want to fly in a big empty field. I wanted to fly somewhere a bit more interesting, so it didn't work.
That's the norm. They like big empty fields for flying their big scale things round and round.
Yeah,
which makes sense for that sort of thing.
I tell you what, though, I do feel like I am the only person. I'm dreading it when the classification comes in, and you know, and that, like people look at me like, what, you know? I said, well, because of the legacy stuff, and I'm just thinking, the legacy self-built. What a great way for them to make money. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you build something yourself, you got to get it certified. You got to send it in, do all this, or you can't. You know, it's an illegal drone. They want to be able to check everything.
I haven't bothered reading it because I've decided I'm just going to ignore it because that seems like the only
sensible thing. It made me really depressed, and to be honest, I can't face looking at it.
It's not going to happen like that. There'll always be self-built stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I know, but they don't want self-built shit, do they?
Can you have variations on the same build? Because it might be conceivable that the parts are restructured from one model into another. And does that, at what point do you have to recertify it? For example, could I certify my battery strap and then fly that battery strap in a number of configurations with different prop sizes?
Probably not. You'll probably have to. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I've hung out with Tony too long. and I'm so cynical, and
But
I've just
then
got
if
my
I fly a
tinfoil hat
drone
on.
and I have to replace the battery strap and it's no longer ostensibly the same build because I use a different make of battery strap.
Yeah, what if you change the props?
Yeah, what if you change the props? What happens if you need to swap the motors? Is that now a new build? What happens if your FC or ESC goes bye-bye and you change that? And you maybe change the stack size while you're at it? Or if you break the frame and you can't get exact frames, you get something that's close. Is it a new build? And if you voluntarily take the components off one drone and put them on a different frame, is that still the same drone? It's just how much change is accepted. It's like when you have a computer, if you ever done the Windows licensing dance, be like, yeah, you build a desktop and you like swap your CPU, and Microsoft's like, ooh, you've built a new computer, and you have to do this song and dance with like the help support team where you tell someone in another country with broken English that no, this really is just the same computer and you just upgraded the one thing, and they go, oh, okay then, and you just get your license back and carry on with your life.
Yeah, I think they'll love being like, no, you got to recertify it.
I think I've forgotten what the phrase is. What's the phrase for like purposely breaking the law because you've decided the law is stupid? They did it. Yeah, they did it way back in the 60s or 70s about the right to ramble.
Oh,
that was a thing where people wanted to walk everywhere.
Yeah.
So they just all sort of broke the law, conscientious objectors or whatever, and did it their way. And then they're like, oh, okay,
and the law did change.
We'll open up all these okay routes to walk through this land to other things. That's what we just should do. Carry on flying because we object what the law is because it's stupid, and thus we'll do it our own way.
I must say, the latest iteration of this, I started trying to look up the UK classes for drones, and it's not Googleable. Like the documentation they've put out there on the classes, they're not searchable. Like you have to read everything the CAA has put out to find out the one thing you need to know. So yeah, challenging.
Become ridiculous. Ignore.
Yeah.
So phases to ignore. Anyway. Carry on doing what you're doing. Don't crash into people, buildings, or cars.
Magical pencil. Anytime you calibrate your accelerometer, re-register. This is now a new drone. You've changed the parameters.
It wouldn't surprise me. And you know, like Frank and Menace looked at me with like I had two heads, and I was just like, why am I the nut job? I'm like, I bet you any money you like. They're like, you know, they're just like, I mean, they've reduced it from 250 to 100 grams.
Yeah. Congratulations.
It's not even half
the target. Now you're just taking the piss.
It's not even 125.
Yeah. I found out people are still having fun with quads under 200.
Well, this is what I was saying, and I was in a bad mood the other day, but it does feel that they're systematically trying to stop us doing this hobby, and that is the strategy. They're going to just carry on squeezing, and it's going to be 50 grams next time you look at it, and then it's going to be just, you know, anything that's 25 grams or over has to have remote ID, and the lightest remote ID tag that's certified is 30 grams. Which is going to be ludicrous.
I tell you what, if it does get down to that, I'll register my cock. I'll get the number tattooed to it.
Don't worry.
Yeah, and it gets down to that.
I'm hoping that the beacon stuff just gets put into an Express LRS receiver, like I was saying before, because from what I can make out, the espressive chips that they're using on the receivers, all of the new generations seem to include the hardware that you'd need for this. So, you know, fingers crossed, it's just a case of upgrade the receiver. It's going to be challenging if you're on a Whoop, but hopefully that you have enough of a window before it slips under 100 grams, and by then Whoops will be able to do it too.
That's the point. I got hit with a wet organic drone, a wet leaf. It needs to be registered, and like we fill in the MOR.
Does it apply to wings yet? Because they seem to have this extraordinary grace period where they're somehow, you know, like a 1 kilo wing is not as dangerous as a 110 gram quadcopter.
Well, the last time the BFMA kind of did a bit of a sellout thing, didn't they? Where they're like, "Oh, we've got a good deal where you can fly our clubs and you don't have to like have all this documentation or stuff." It'll be that thing again. So if
it turns out that was a mistake.
It'll be okay. Was it? What was?
There was no free pass for BMFA members. That was just misspeaking.
Yeah, and there was a giant push to hand over everyone's information.
Ooh. It gets a bit weird, doesn't it, when something lighter than a football needs to be registered. Maybe the key is here that they define a drone as something under control. So let's just have free flight models. Let's just plug them in and press a button and it goes whoosh. Rocketry. And then the fun is finding it again.
Safe rocketry. You can put cameras in rockets, but if it's not under your control, that's fine, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Cool.
It's a whole new game. Find the quad that's.
I imagine there's quite a few good value rockets. What with the global situation being what it is, they've probably got the production lines up and running pretty well now.
Worth trying.
Wait a minute, banner. There you are.
That's the one.
You need that. Please let us know if we're whinging too much.
Oh, we are whinging too much. I mean, that's just it's a given. But
I mean, I had a great day flying this week, I have to say, because last time I went out, everything went wrong, and this time only one thing went wrong, which is like this a sodding thing. I'm just trying to make it work so the GPS can keep its signal.
Dinky doodah.
It's lovely. It's a little 4-inch foldable quad, and it came with an SPI receiver and the GPS. And I was flying along, and then suddenly the whole GPS disappeared. It didn't go to zero. It was just like, what GPS? We don't have one.
We no longer have enough brain capacity to deal with the serial ports as well as the SPI receiver.
That's basically what it was. So I thought, I know, I'll put a proper receiver in it, and the GPS will work. So yeah, we got GPS lock flying along, and it's like it goes from 8 to 5 to 0. It's like, what's going on? Maybe the receiver sending telemetry back is having an issue with it. So I tried moving the receiver antenna over here, didn't make a difference. So I've now put in, this is a old Team Black Sheep GPS, and I went to test it out again, and it went up to 8 satellites, which is not amazing. And flying along, and it's down to 7, and back to 8, and then a 6, and back to 8. And it's like, what's going on? Why can't I get this thing working? I've got like 15 hours of footage of me flying this without being able to trust it doing anything.
Some of these new satellites, they'll give you like 23 locks inside of a minute. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's like whenever I fly anything on a plane, it's like, yeah, we've got like 25 satellites, and we've just been sat here for 1 minute. I get like quads a bit
noisy,
skewed in, and everything's in this bit here. But this is just because it's a really like nice little quad.
Is it an F411 by any chance?
Might be. Don't know.
F411s are pretty much cursed right now. They are like, it's like buying an F303. Like you just don't want to. They're basically cursed.
I know, like F4s are yesterday's. Does Betaflight still support F4s?
Well, F411s are like the super slow F4s that don't have many serial ports, so they're basically cursed. And any F4s now, it's basically you're going to be running at 4K, and you might have to drop down to 2K PID loop because they just can't keep up with the calculations that the flight controller needs to do for filtering now. There's too much filtering, basically, to keep everything in, and people are obsessed with like lowering the latency for the control inputs, which means there's less and less margin to get the calculations done before you need to process the next control input. So it's
a shame, because I wanted to put I thought, let's take the little mini DJI 04 out of that Whoop and stick it in here.
Look familiar.
They are
the little funny silver ones.
Darwin FPV. This
Oh,
is.
an FPV. I've got those motors. I didn't put
Yeah?
them on a build. Yeah. I bought the
They're very
motors because
smooth.
they were so cheap. They were like £6 a corner. They were so stupid cheap. I don't know where they got them. They look really odd. They're the ones that are like plain steel cans, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what they look
Yeah,
like.
they're like unmarked. 1504s or something. Yeah, I've got a set of those because they were going stupid cheap.
I find it quiet, reasonably efficient. Not if you want to slam it around and stuff, it's not so good. It's the idea is it's like a little stealth long range quad.
Yeah.
That's its idea, but
A 15 is
not
a
until I
nice
get the
size.
GPS working.
1404 is a bit anemic, like you can't really do anything, but going up to 1504 or 1505 on a 4-inch, especially a bi-blade, you just have enough kind of headroom where you can start to have a bit of fun instead of constantly watching yourself during maneuvers so you don't hit the ground. So yeah, it's nice.
I like it, but I had a good day when I went out. It was yesterday. It was blazingly hot. The wind was blowing in the right direction, so the wing actually got in the air, flew that 2 batteries about 15 minutes each. Aside from like having that complete loss of signal, it also does an exciting thing. When I go full throttle, the OSD disappears completely. Because there's this was I literally got an ESC to test 1 year ago, and I sort of installed it and like I'll have to take this wing out, and I just haven't done because it's slightly cursed. But having got it launched, it's like maybe it needs like some capacitors. And I noticed when it's sold now, it includes a capacitor with it. It's like, that might be it.
Yeah, there's so many boards out there like that where they're just like, yeah, just ship it. It's great value. And then people get it and they're like, I can't use the SD card and the OSD at the same time. Or when I go full throttle, this happens. I don't think that's supposed. Yeah, there's so many boards where there's like, let's squeeze all the components on the board without like any care and attention, and let's try and plug everything in, even if some things don't work at the same time as other things, even if some things are slightly too close to other stuff, and they just kind of kill them with noise.
It's kind of impressive that the 70 amp ESC I've got is about half the size of my 50 amp ESC. However, all that mass was probably built up in nice capacitors and things to stop the power leaking out and dirtying up my VTX in terrible ways. But it got full throttle. It goes very fast. And it's very bumpy. I was going to send you the video, Stephen, because it's like, this will convert Stephen onto wings. bumpity with the OSD flickering.
Roller coaster vibes.
He'll love it. I don't know how much you love that bumpiness in wings.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah, I love it, especially trying to calibrate servos. That's my other favorite thing. I think it's just like so much fun. It makes me think I should go and get a wing. Calibrate servos.
You don't have to calibrate them. You just have to turn them on, get the center point, and then install your servo horn. It's all good.
It's true. And then trim them.
There's no trimming. That's why you have auto trim on.
Stephen doesn't like it because it's not digital.
You can get a digital servo.
I have some beef. I have to say. I mean, I can see the appeal. It's just I'm so used to quads now, and they fly so nicely. It's kind of difficult to choose something that doesn't fly as well. No, like, why would I?
Mate, I need to stick you on the tricopter. If you want, if you like,
I think you misunderstood what I said there, Jack.
I did on purpose.
willfully misunderstood.
Don't forget to bring the historical quad for Koel to have a go.
Oh yeah. Well, Koel flies that on a regular, doesn't he? He should be fine. It's just an old frame analog really system stuff. Like old KISS style.
Not anymore. He's DJI now. DJI boy.
I saw the picture of the goggles. Has he actually got it?
Yeah. As far as I know.
It's got the N3s. You got the N3s, haven't you, Curry?
No, I've got the Integra.
Oh, Integra, right.
Yeah. This is where it gets like a bit like, how many goggles are there now? And there's this weird matrix spreadsheet of like what goggles are compatible with what, and you're like, oh man, this is hard.
Yeah, it's challenging. It's kind of a mess.
A little bit.
And I was surprised you went for the Integra, because don't you need like diopters to see?
Yes, bear in mind this was sort of gifted to me as a review thing, so I can't be fussy. But the Integra does come with a whole pack of diopters from like +2 down to -8. So you just get the ones that are right and shove them in there. Obviously, if you've got a very strong astigmatism, you will need to get your own diopter. But mine works in like -6 fine.
Yeah, that's where that's where my problem lies.
Just close one eye. Close the eye. That's a problem. And that reminds me, this was an actual product. There was a FPV monocle, so it just did one eye, and the idea was that like you're FPVing and your line of sight, thus you can FPV without a spotter. That was a thing. I forgot who produced it. It was hilarious.
You know, the maximum height for kites, according to SPV, the maximum height for kites in the UK is 60 meters. So if you see anyone going around, you got to get your protractor out. You got to say, right, that now if we measure the angle of your string,
or
how much string have you spooled out? How high are you now? How high are you now? Start doing your right angle triangle calculations.
I thought they set the all the power lines and run it all across the country at 61 meters.
Power lines are much.
I don't know why you'd fly a kite directly under a power line, even though the best will in the world. That's
because we're the UK public.
Intelligence.
There was
we
literally
can't be trusted with a drone over 100 grams. What are you on about?
In my youth, there was literally a public information film about flying a kite near a power line and kids getting electrocuted and killed.
Probably deserved it. I mean, yeah, don't do it. But at the same time, if you did do it, yeah, the world's probably a better place without you in the picture.
That's the
It'd be like playing on train tracks. Would you want to work with the type of person that would like play on a busy train track or fly their kite underneath the power line? I wouldn't want to be in the same building as someone who did that.
I find it disgusting that we breathe the same air with those sorts of people.
Maybe it's like mountaineering.
Away carefully,
They say, why did you fly your kite there? Because it's there, and I needed to conquer it by flying my kite next to it.
These are the type of people who don't bother shutting the car door before they drive off,
Yeah, that's the way. I'm suddenly reminded of my friend's video that I shared one week, where maybe it was one of the Halloween disaster specials, where he was like, this was back in the Free Sky days. He had his Tyrannus 9D and he had his Ardu pilot plane flying around, and he's like, oh my god, my radio's beeping, I need to change the battery. It's okay because my plane will go return to home and go in circles. So he took out the battery, started installing new ones, and it found out apparently that the plane wasn't set to return to home. In this case, it was set to fly by wire A, or whatever they call it in Ardu pilot. So it just flew on for 10 kilometers or so. And it's got this, when he found the footage of it, there's this brilliant video where somehow he goes in between these power lines that are like this far apart and gently lands in the field afterwards. And
we show that video on the show.
Yeah.
I think that was one of our Halloween clips.
Yeah, there's this awesome noise when he goes through the power line that you can just hear this buzz of the power going through. That was amazing. I can't believe how he managed to not only he managed to retrieve the plane, obviously, as well. That was the amazing thing, because it was like completely out of battery, just flying on its own at that point. Fun times.
That's incredible. Should we call it there, lads?
Yeah, I feel exhausted now after Curry told that story. I think I need to go and have a lie down. Breathe deeply.
This is what you're missing out on. Just imagine flying a plane. You lose picture, you lose signal, everything.
So what do you do? Take the battery out of the radio.
Immediately throw your radio on the floor until the plane comes back.
He's literally one of my most favourite like videos. I do love that video. I think it's great.
It's a fun one. It wasn't shared anywhere else because it was like plane flew away completely and out of control for 10 kilometers.
Yeah. It's the BMFA keep to watch out for these type of fixed wing videos to ensure they don't get distributed through the media. It's the shadowy hand of BMFA keeping fixed wing flyers safe. Disclosure. That was a joke. That was a joke. Joke.
Hello. Anyway, right. Thank you to all our wonderful Patreons who help keep the show going and help Frank claw some money back from us, bleeding him dry. We do apologise, Frank. Frank is on a sabbatical so that he doesn't murder us. Yeah, if you do enjoy listening to this, all edited and nice and neat and fantastic,
lovely,
then please consider becoming one of the wonderful Patreons. And you get your name read out at the beginning of the show, and we'll play a little banner with your name at the end of the show. On YouTube, we're live every Thursday, 8 till 9 p.m. And you've been listening to Let's Drone Out. Joined by everyone's favourite fluffy bunny.
Who am I again? Say it again.
Everyone's favourite CurryKitten.
Bunny.
Bye.
The man with the moustache, Stephen?
Not a fluffy bunny, apparently, but thanks anyway.
Yeah. More stoat.
Stoat? Oh,
yeah.
No. Turn the wrong
weasel
completely. Oh,
and
no. It's getting bad to worse.
I am your honey badger, brightontillifly. Thank you. Good night.
Chomp, chomp.
Good night. Bye.